All right, let's dive into a really critical moment in Marvel's Civil War. This is a story that, pits hero against hero, and we're about to see how a desperate fight for what you believe in can lead to some really strange and dangerous partnerships.
Okay, so here's the deal. The whole superhero community is basically at war with itself. The government has this Superhuman Registration Act, which means if you have powers, you've got to sign up. Iron Man, he's all for it, says it's for everyone's safety. But Captain America, he's leading the underground resistance, saying no way, this is a total violation of our freedom. The whole thing has just torn everyone apart, friend against friend. And just to make things even more complicated, Cap's team has a new recruit, and it's the most controversial one you can imagine, the Punisher.
So that brings us right inside the two opposing camps. Let's call this the war room. We're going to see how both sides are trying to figure out their next move in a fight that has already gotten really, really ugly.
And man, this picture just tells the whole story, doesn't it? On one side, you've got Iron Man's crew. They're basically a government-backed army, all shiny and new, training right out in the open. And then you have Cap's team, the Secret Avengers. They're a scrappy guerrilla force, hiding in the shadows, planning their next move. They are totally outmanned, completely outgunned, and always on the run. So you see, it's not just a fight about who's right or wrong. It's about who has the power and the resources.
So what's their plan? Well, it's a huge one. A super high-stakes rescue mission. They're going to break into the Baxter Building, yeah, the Fantastic Four's headquarters, to bust out their captured friends. But here's the crazy part. Their teammates aren't in some regular prison. Nope. They're being kept in the negative zone, which is this terrifying alternate dimension. It just goes to show you how far Iron Man's side is willing to go to win.
Things are already pretty desperate for the Resistance, right? Well, they're about to get a whole lot more complicated. This is where things get messy. This is where we see a truly unholy alliance start to take shape.
So Cap is literally in the middle of laying out the plan when two guys just walk in. And these aren't just any guys. It's Goldbug and Plunderer. Now let's be honest, these guys are not exactly top-tier villains, but they want to join the Resistance. And their logic, believe it or not, kind of makes sense. They figure if Iron Man is rounding up heroes today, it's only a matter of time before he comes for the bad guys. So, in a really weird twist, Captain America is their only hope.
And this just throws a huge question on the table. Not just for the heroes, but for us, right? I mean, do the ends justify the means? If you're fighting for freedom, do you take help from anyone? Even if they're, criminals. Does fighting for something good mean you have to get your own hands dirty? It's a classic moral problem, and Captain America doesn't even get a second to think about it.
Because before a single word is spoken, the Punisher does what the Punisher does. He sees two criminals, and that's it. He pulls his guns, and boom, he executes them. Right there, in cold blood, in the middle of their secret base. No trial, no warning, just instant, brutal, lethal justice.
And Captain America's reaction is just instant fury. See, for him, the Punisher didn't just break a rule. He completely trashed the one thing they're fighting for. Because in Cap's world, freedom without justice, without due process, that's not freedom. That's just another kind of tyranny.
And that one act of violence, it leads us right here to the inevitable collision. This is where those deep, fundamental differences between two guys who are supposed to be on the same team finally, violently explode.
These two are perfect opposites. You got Captain America, the idealist. He's from World War II, a time of clear good versus evil. He believes in the system, in doing things the right way. Then you've got the Punisher. He's a total pragmatist, a product of the Vietnam War where all the lines were blurred. He thinks the system is a joke and that lethal force is the only thing that works. They were never really allies. They were just, for a little while, aiming their guns at the same enemy.
So Cap just snaps, he attacks. And let's be clear, this isn't a fight between equals. This is a beatdown. This is a punishment. He is so enraged that the Punisher would bring that kind of street execution into their safe house that he would poison their entire mission. As far as Cap is concerned, the Punisher isn't an ally anymore. He's a cancer they need to cut out.
But then, something totally unexpected happens. The Punisher, one of the deadliest fighters on the entire planet, he just stands there and takes it. He doesn't even try to block. Why? Because he says, "Not against you." You have to understand, for Frank Castle, Captain America isn't just some guy in a costume. He is the symbol of the America that Frank fought for, maybe the very last good thing he has any faith in. He'll kill anyone else, but he will not, under any circumstances, raise a hand against Captain America. And the whole team, they're just frozen. They can only watch in complete shock. They're seeing their leader, the guy who's supposed to be the beacon of hope and justice, absolutely lay into one of his own teammates. What they're witnessing, right then and there, is where Captain America draws the line in the sand. And they're learning that for him, that line is made of concrete. It is absolute.
So, some of the other heroes try to make excuses for him. Oh, it's because of the war, things like that. But Captain America just shuts it all down with this one final devastating line. He says it's not about the war, it's not about tactics. The simple, awful truth, in his mind, is that Frank Castle is insane, and a man like that has no place on their team. Period.
And then the camera, so to speak, pulls way back. We're reminded that this is bigger than just one fight in a basement. You've got these huge cosmic beings, like Doctor Strange and Utu the Watcher, just watching. They know this isn't just about some law. This ideological civil war between heroes, it has the power to shake the entire universe to its very core.
So it all leaves us with a pretty tough question, doesn't it? On the one hand, you've got Captain America, a flawed hero who just completely lost his cool. And on the other, you've got the Punisher, who you can almost call a perfect monster. He's incredibly good at what he does, as brutal as it is. So the story makes you wonder, when you're fighting for a better world, which one is actually more dangerous to have on your side?